The Entrepreneurial Journey Podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey Podcast.
If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks. Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey Podcast. Today I have Elizabeth Willetts with me from investinginwomen.co.uk. Hello Elizabeth, how are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
That's a pleasure. Now we're laughing because I thought I was interviewing Elizabeth from investingwomen.co.uk. So we've had a little bit of confusion this morning. But there we go. That's the way the world is. So Elizabeth, tell me about your business. What do you do?
Yeah, so my business, it helps people find flexible and part-time and remote jobs and those forward-thinking companies that want to hire those people that are looking for more flexible work.
Which is perfect for this day and age. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
when I looked you up ages and ages ago, I was like, oh, I wish this had been around when I had small children.
Yes, I know. Yes, so do I mean that's why I set it up, because I couldn't really see that many companies that did offered it, and there's still not loads. And a lot of recruitment agencies are geared up towards full-time work, and a lot of companies need educating on the benefits of employing people on part-time contracts as well.
Yeah. I think the key is the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have some full-time people in our, but we're tiny. You know, we only have one employee and then there's me and the directors, but we all work really flexibly.
Yeah.
So some of us might do some stuff on a Saturday or a Sunday, but not do anything on a Tuesday. And that changes from week to week, depending on what's going on in our lives. And it's not even fixed part-time hours. It's that flexibility that we all absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did you get it started and what happened? And where are you up to?
So we've been going now. It'll be 3 years in June.
Oh,
so
well done.
It's come up to our 3-year anniversary. And it started just after, during the COVID pandemic. So I was, like a lot of people, made redundant during the COVID pandemic. I was part-time actually in my job. I was fortunate because I had managed to negotiate part-time and was coming up to the end of my second maternity leave and then was made redundant. I mean, a lot of people were made redundant then. I was the only part-time person on my team and was the one that was chosen for redundancy. My background's recruitment, so I've been in recruitment since 2007 and I just couldn't find another part-time job. Every job I applied for, and when I mentioned I'm looking for part-time, I was ghosted straight away, or they just came back straight away and said, no, the role's full-time only. They felt like there was no discussion. I look back on my recruitment career and just thought, I've never recruited anyone part-time. I could see what had happened to so many of my friends where they'd exchanged a career they'd worked really hard for. They'd done a lot of training. They were being well paid for something a lot lower paid, a lot lower skilled in exchange for that flex. I just thought I still think, I think it now. I thought it then. That is, I think, one of the main reasons we have a big gender pay gap that doesn't seem to be budging is because there's a lack of senior roles that offer flexible work, and they get to a point, particularly in women, because we know that women do about twice as much housework, childcare, etc. as their male partners in heterosexual relationships. They, at this point in time, they still need flexible working more than men. And, hopefully that's changing. And I think flexible working for both parties is great because it does improve that equality at home. But I think, I still think it now that the reason for the gender pay gap is there's a lack of that flexible work at senior levels that keeps women in employment on that rung that they were on, and then promotes them up that ladder.
I couldn't agree with you more. I get, there was that massive report produced last year by Alison Rose about why women aren't getting to the top. And it's like, it's bleeding obvious. We don't need a report. Thanks very much. What we need is affordable childcare and flexible working. That would solve it overnight.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not rocket science to work this out.
I know. And there was a report that came out as well last week. I don't know if you saw it. I shared it on Monday in the Times about flexible work. They went, remote working. It wasn't flexible. It was obviously remote, which is a part of flexible working, keeps mothers in employment. A study has shown, just come out.
Right.
I thought that is just obvious. That's what we've been saying. And why they have to, I mean, I'm pleased they've done a study because it's hitting the news, but this is, obviously the danger of this whole return to the office mandate, the monitoring, etc. is, obviously there's a risk that's going to push women back out of the workplace, and a lot of them are really thriving, I think, in work because flexible work is now becoming a lot more normal. And, and I get a lot of messages from particularly women that have had their employers say, you need to be back in 4 or 5 days a week, and it's just not sustainable for them if they've got children.
Yeah, it's not. You can't. The reason I'm self-employed is because I've got children.
Yeah.
Back in 99 when I left, I used to work for a huge recruiter, international recruiter, and their idea of part-time was working 8:30 till 5 days a week.
Oh, that was part-time. Yeah, I know what you mean, because I was in a recruiter and it was 8:30 to 6 and part-time was 9 to 5.
Yeah, that was part-time. That's right. I still achieved more than everybody else in that time because part-time workers do, and flexible workers tend to be more productive. I've found
clock watching, but in a good way, not in a bad. In a full-time employee's clock watching, often just scrolling or through social media or whatever, waiting for whatever 5:30, 6 to roll around. Whereas if you've got a hard deadline, it's like the day before you go on holiday. You just whiz through it.
You get it done because you can't mess about.
No,
you know that you can't do your client calls when you're doing the nursery, the school run, the dentist, the doctors, the hairdressers. You've got to fit it in.
Yep.
Yes, totally. So, okay, this is great. Now, you're out there and you're obviously approaching employers to put those opportunities. What kind of response are you getting?
I mean, obviously it depends upon the employer, but I mean, I think actually more employers are opened to flexible working than even you think, and even looking at, because I get jobs advertised on the job board and they might not mention flexible working, and then I go back and I say, can this roll offer flexible working? And they go, oh yeah, we could, we could do part-time, we could do, it is hybrid, it is whatever it is. And I think there's a disconnect between employers actually advertising what they can offer and then actually, putting it on, and then people don't know, and then it's all that ambiguity. So I would encourage people, if they see a job that doesn't mention flex, to still apply, because I think increasingly, employees are offering flexible working, and it isn't just mums that want it. There's a lot of evidence like the Gen Z want flexible working because they've, graduated during the COVID pandemic, and they may enjoy going to the office, but they probably don't want to go in 5 days a week like I used to. So I think it is becoming more of the norm, and those employers that don't offer flexible working just can't attract the talent.
Yeah, I would agree. And it is that war for talent, because you and I have been in recruitment. We know good people have always been hard to find.
Exactly,
always.
yeah.
And the more flexible an employer can do, and the better. And also you get the right person 3 days a week rather than the wrong person 5 days a week.
Exactly, yeah.
To me, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But
and there's certain skills obviously so in demand, and they can really demand, like I'm just thinking like developers. It's actually quite unheard of for them to go into an office because they are quite used to working from home, and they can ask for that and they get it. And
and they probably get more work done, because actually being a developer, you have to concentrate quite hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. Now, your business model, do the employers pay to put their jobs on your platform? Yeah. Okay.
So that's how it works. So they pay us. We don't charge as much as like a traditional recruitment agency. So they would pay us a small retainer if they to like do searches as well. So there's different packages. So it's like starts an advert through to a full recruitment service, depending upon what the client wants and how much time they have. Because actually, it's often not about finding the candidate. that's the time. I mean, that is obviously time consuming. It's actually also about that shortlisting and screening and getting the right person.
Yeah. I shortlist by writing an ad that puts most people off.
Okay, yeah. That's one way of doing it.
Yeah. So a really, really specific about exactly what I'm looking for, because if you're a recruiter, it's different because you want to cast the net wide. And I
Yes.
totally get that. But as an employer, when we were looking for Lauren, sort of my assistant who's psychic and understands everything.
Yeah.
It was like, if I put a general executive assistant role
You
out
would have
there,
got a lot of applications.
I really, really would. And I just didn't have time to deal with that. So I made it as close to the wind as I possibly could, in that it was quite un-PC. And I just went, you know, I just need somebody who loves admin, who loves the detail, who wants flexible working, who doesn't mind me swearing from time to time, and is quite happy with dark humour.
I'm still surprised you didn't get a lot of applications to that, to be honest.
Didn't even post it as a job. It was just a post on LinkedIn, and I got 5 cracking people, and you know, could have taken probably 3 out of the 5 quite easily.
That is the hardest thing, I think, is actually the shortlisting, because you get something like, they're actually really good. And obviously it's not me because I'm recruiting on behalf of the client, but you think it's difficult to make that call when you get like 3 good ones.
Yeah, definitely. So what size is your team?
So I have a recruiter now that helps me.
Yay!
Yeah, so she's
You've grown.
I've grown, yeah. So I've got a recruiter, and then I've got somebody that helps with the social media, and then so they work every day. They both part-time, but they both work every day. And then I've got a developer that helps more ad hoc, really.
Right. So that your platform is not an off-the-shelf platform then?
It's on WordPress.
Oh, right.
Plugin, actually.
Oh, that's cool. It looks like a proper sort of software developed type thing.
I mean, he's made it look amazing. There is no way I would have been able to make it look like that without him. But it's WordPress.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, and how are you getting the candidates? Because there must be a huge market of men and women, but I'm guessing mainly women who want this flexible working. How are you getting your message out there to them?
I mean, predominantly LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been always my favorite platform to be on. So it's LinkedIn. We've got a Facebook group. So we get people that join the Facebook group. But we do a lot of sourcing on LinkedIn. We've got like LinkedIn Recruiter licenses, and that's where we'll get a lot of candidates. And then obviously just the job boards, so the site's all optimized. SEO optimized, so people will find it naturally. Obviously, coming on podcasts like yours, people will listen and hopefully come visit the site. I was running Google ads until really recently, but I didn't actually. I know, because I know it's for entrepreneurs. Personally, I felt that the quality of the traffic wasn't brill for our site. It didn't convert like it does when we actually go out and find candidates on LinkedIn.
That's really interesting, because our model is a self-employed model, and we use ads on LinkedIn, recruitment ads on LinkedIn, and we're just dipping our toe in the water for Google ads. So it's really interesting you say that. We've just the Google ads. Did you have somebody to help you with Google?
Yeah, I did. I paid, and it was, in the end, it was like my biggest cost of my whole business was these agency and then the ads. And I've stopped the ads.
Yeah.
Obviously, the traffic has dipped, because that was my thing. Was a lot of clients said, "How much traffic do you get to your site?"
Yeah.
So, and the traffic has dipped, but the number of applications has not. So the quality, those weren't actually contributing to the end result. And the end result for us is to get the candidates placed in jobs.
Yeah. We're just, because Google, I love it when people go, "Oh, I've built a website and I've set up in business." I'm like, good luck with anybody ever seeing that website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because people think, "Oh, I've got a business, I'm going to have a website," and everybody's going to, like, no, literally nobody's going to ever see that website.
Unless, you have to spend, I mean, it's
Yeah.
taken me, I've done quite a lot of SEO courses.
Right.
But I mean, even that's slow going. It's not like instant, like
No.
ads. Ads, you will get
No.
traffic overnight.
Yeah.
But is that traffic? Then I guess you would only know. I think if you were an e-commerce site and you could optimize, you could see those conversions better. You'd think those would be a better spend because you could see that. But a bit with ours, we get our money obviously from the employers.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. We've had some help from the Google Ads like account managers.
Yeah.
They seem to have moved from India to the Philippines.
Okay.
And the guy we had last week was brilliant, and he got our click-through rate from like 1 point something to 4 point something
That's
virtually.
really good, yeah.
I know, in 24 hours. I'm like, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
But they change it for any entrepreneurs out there going, oh, we're just going to stick some Google ads on. They change the account managers every 3 months.
Okay.
So you sometimes get a cracker, which we've got at the moment, and then they'll change it and you're like, oh, this person is useless.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're okay, but it's interesting you say quality. So I'll keep my eye on the quality, because you're right. LinkedIn quality is it's fantastic for applicants. It really, really is. Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at TriCrest, we've built a kick-ass culture, coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9 to 5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there. Now, are you just UK based at the moment?
Yeah, we're just UK based at the moment. Yeah.
Right.
I would potentially go international, but I mean, at the moment, it's just the time, isn't it? And it's the funds, and it's just like, yeah.
And have you had any investment?
No, I've not had any investment. No. So it's all self-funded. So I just funded it initially from my redundancy money.
Right. Well done. Good for you. Where do you want to take it? Where do you see it heading?
I mean, I love recruitment. I actually genuinely love recruitment. It's one of my, and I know that it's obviously not for everyone. So I would always hope it would stay as a recruitment business. But we've got a consultancy arm now. Ooh. So we help clients that want to learn how to attract and retain women, because I get a lot of clients that come to me and they're just not ready. So they might have the intention, but they're not ready. So that's to help them. And then we've just done the other week, which I loved. The client asked if we could do an employer branding video for them.
Oh, cool.
And it was amazing. So we went to they're a factory. So we went to their factory, me and my social media manager, we went there, did all the filming. She's editing at the moment, and then that's going to go on their careers page. But I loved it. So I was like, this is something I think we could definitely get into, more employer branding as well.
Yeah. It's so important when we work with businesses, we work with them from the inside out. So culture first. And we say, look, your internal brand is as important as your external brand. So your brand promise has to deliver to your internal customers, which is your staff, and then to your external customers. Yeah. And you're right, some employers aren't ready for that. So if an employer's not ready for that flexible working, what kind of things do you help them with?
So it would be talking about how they can offer that flexibility, because you've got a lot of employers that maybe they have to be on site 5 days a week, which is fair enough. But then can they offer job sharing? How would they implement a successful job share into their organisation? What other things can they do to support particularly women in the workplace then, that maybe at the point where they might drop out of their career, if they've just had children, can they offer maternity, return to work coaching? Can they offer a mentorship scheme? What would that look like? So we're looking at other ways that they can support women, particularly women in the workplace. Can they offer any assistance with childcare, things like that?
Yeah. Do you think it's just lack of imagination, that they've just not kind of spent time thinking about it?
I think so. I think predominantly it's because a lot of senior leaders in most organisations are white men of a certain age that perhaps had, when their children were younger, had their wives supporting at home, and they're now at the top, and because it didn't affect them, it's quite hard to see that point of view.
Yeah. And I see out and about just in town a lot more men around
Yes.
during the week
Yes.
with the baby in the pram or the toddler in the pushchair, and I see a lot more men at like swimming activities and things like that. So do you think the demand for flexible working from men is on the rise?
Yeah, and I think so, and I hope so. I mean, my husband now works from home
Right.
at the moment, and since he's been working from home, we're like I think we're pretty much 50-50.
Great. Yeah.
And like we shared school runs, we share like who's cooking. It does feel quite 50-50, and I think as well as just helping me now,
Yeah.
I think it's quite good role modeling for the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think we have particularly defined gender roles. Like, he'll brush their teeth, do their hair, and get them ready for school as well.
Yeah, I think it is changing gradually. I really do, for the better, which is fantastic. I think the law needs to change though, because if we had equal parental leave, I think suddenly more men would take that paternity leave, if it was paid on the same terms as women.
Yeah, I do. And it's the moment I think it's set up, isn't it? So it takes away, it sort of feels like it has to take away from the mum.
Yeah.
And it needs to change. It needs to be tweaked, doesn't it?
It does. And I think, is it Denmark that does that? Or one of the...
it's a Scandinavian country and they do have more equality, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I know, again, I've sort of looked at studies as that it kind of doesn't completely change the caring responsibilities, but I think it shifts things a little bit more, so they're a bit more equal in the workplace from an employer's perspective.
Yeah, so they're less likely to discriminate against women in that recruitment process, which unfortunately does still happen.
Yeah. It really does. It really does. Somebody said to me the other day, those kind of very macho bosses that sort of stamp their fists on the table are a thing of the past. Went, no, they're not.
No, they're not. I know so many like that.
Yeah, no, they're really, they're really, really not. So no, there's still loads of discrimination of people going, you can't possibly do this part time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know it's sad, but it is changing. Right.
I hope people are getting, because my friend, she was unfortunately made redundant like 2 weeks ago.
Oh no.
Again, the only part time on the team, the other two full time are still employed.
Right.
And I sat to actually speaking with an employment solicitor, but it's actually, I think, being quite open about there is things you can do if you think you're being discriminated against at work. And I think we need to be doing that more, because there's things you can, I always say to people, submit a subject access request.
Ooh, what's that?
Yeah, it's basically, you do it through, I think it's through ACAS. Go on the ACAS website, double check. And then the employer legally has to release any emails that you've been mentioned in, all the data basically they hold on you. So it's a real pain for employers, because they have to go through every single email ever and then black out the other people's names that are in the email. But you then get an idea as to whether you have been discriminated against.
Right.
In work.
A subject
access request.
Right.
And employers probably don't want you to know about that.
No, I would imagine not.
Yeah, because you can then get the evidence. I mean, obviously, maybe you haven't been discriminated. Not everyone probably has been discriminated, but if you have, you can then get that evidence to show you have. And obviously, you can go through early conciliation, which is through ACAS, which is before tribunal, and often, hopefully, a lot of employers will settle. Yeah. There's you can appeal redundancies. There's quite a lot you can do. And I do think knowledge is power. There's a lot you can do, even if it just scares the employer so they stop doing it.
Yeah. And until I spoke to you, Elizabeth, it had never occurred to me that people being made redundant were likely to be part-time. That just hadn't been on my...
And that's discrimination. That is, I think, ultimately discrimination, because it's predominantly women that work part-time. So it is. you could argue, an employment solicitor would argue that it was like a sexual discrimination or...
Yeah, definitely. Or if you had caring responsibilities. Yeah, definitely.
But you need that subject access request, I would
Right.
say, to get the compelling evidence. I mean, speak to an employer. And also, a lot of people don't realise a lot of home insurance policies offer legal support. So you get your legal fees paid.
I did not know that either.
Yeah, so check your documents.
Oh my God, it's like being on a call with Martin Lewis.
All right. This is all I don't know anything else about any other finance stuff. I'm like, I just want people to know their rights if they're in that situation, and you have more right. You have a lot of rights.
Right. Okay. Now, so if you've done all that and you suspect you've been discriminated against in the UK, what are you then allowed to do?
Well, you can make a claim.
Okay.
You can go start initiating like the tribunal, and you've got 3 months less 1 day from the last point of that discrimination.
Okay.
I would say log everything as well, even if it's just been something that's been said to you, ideally with the date, because this will all be evidence. You can just put it in your notes. We can do subject access request. Obviously, if you can afford an employment solicitor, great. A lot of them do offer free consultations as well.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, or you could do it on your own through ACAS, and ACAS you would get assigned to like a caseworker.
Oh, right. And that's the
ACAS is free.
It's free, right.
You've also got like Citizens Advice, I think, and then there's Pregnant and Screwed. There's a lot of helplines.
I've seen Pregnant and Screwed a lot. So that obviously a very specific area. Do you
But ACAS is just more generalist, or Citizens Advice.
Yeah. Do you partner with them? Do you?
No, I've not ever done anything with them. I've always wanted Jolie to go on my podcast. So I've asked her if she's listening, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'll follow her, and you probably follow her as well. I'll tag her on this, because I can see that working really, really well. Definitely. Yeah, no, that's really good. So this is very exciting. It's really important. Where do you want to, I don't know, I've changed how I ask this question, Elizabeth. I normally say, where do you want to take the business and things like that. But I'm going to change it from now on in, because I experienced a significant change the other week that I won't bore you with. But what do you feel your purpose is in growing this business? What's kind of your destiny, do you think, about growing this business?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I've changed it. I have changed it.
I think it's been like actually empowering women to actually realise that they don't have to take the I don't think I can swear on this.
You are allowed to swear from Manchester.
Take the bullshit that corporates have fed them for so long. And yeah, it's placing people, because I love recruitment, but it's also, we do weekly Facebook and LinkedIn lives. And I have benefited from doing those as much as the people that watched it, because it's not your fault.
No.
The workplace was set up over 100 years ago when women were at home. It was set up when a time when men went into work, women were at home, and the stuff at home, unfortunately, all that stuff hasn't disappeared in terms of the laundry, the cleaning, etc. It's not your fault if you feel you can't fit it in, if you feel you're struggling, if it's not your fault that childcare is too expensive for you to feel like it's worth going into work. I think that's what I want people to say, realize it's not your fault. There is other options. You can say no. And I really want to see more women's voices saying no enough.
Yeah,
whether they're self-employed or corporate. I did some interview coaching for a lady yesterday, and she said to me, I said, you'll maybe get asked this question, where would you like to be in 5 years' time? And she went, well, if I was giving you the honest answer, and then she gave me this honest answer, I'm like, why can't you just say that in the interview? Why? And I think it's that empowering women to feel confident enough to be honest and advocate for what we need.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. Empowering women. That is your destiny, or as the Hindus would say, your dharma, which I'm getting right into at the moment. Again, I won't bore you with details. So So for me, I'm growing my business, which is great, with the intention of eventually having somebody else run it. So my eldest daughter really wants children. She's with a long-term partner. They're going to buy a house. I see grandchildren on the horizon in the next couple of years. And I want somebody else. I'll still be involved in my business, but I want somebody else to run it so I can do grandma duties.
Yeah.
So that she can go to work and build her career and not worry about baby, 1, maybe 2 days a week. And her partner, again, because they're modern, they're in their 20s, he's like, well, I'll probably work part-time as well. So, between us all, we can probably cover it, because otherwise they're going to have to pay another mortgage.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
To have the child looked after, which is ridiculous. So there we go. There's my honest answer. But I can do that because I'm not employed.
Yeah. I know it is easier to have that honesty when you don't have a big corporate.
Yeah.
Hanging over you.
I know. And I've coached many women, many mums in big corporates. And the unreasonable demands are just off the scale. They're like unbelievable. How people are physically expected to do the quantity and quality of work.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's not humanly possible, actually. And I don't know why corporates expect that. I really don't. Anyway. Yeah. So if your business had a personality or a character, Elizabeth, who would it be, or how would you describe it?
I don't know. Gosh, personality. I think it's like the empowerment thing as well. And also, I feel there's a message that too many women are written off after having children, and we write ourselves off as well.
Yes.
I think it's a little bit of both, because we see the obstacles and we think, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. And actually, I personally, being made redundant and having children has been the best thing that's ever happened to me in my career.
Yeah.
Because there is no way I'd have set up this business without being made redundant.
Yeah.
And I would have probably gone back to work, kept my head down, kept quiet. I wouldn't have found my voice. And I think having children has given me that confidence.
Good.
So, and I see a lot of women that actually they seem to flourish after having children. I mean, obviously not everyone has children, not everyone wants children, but I think we need to stop writing people off if they have other commitments, whether it's us or, somebody else writing us off. Yeah. So I think it's the positivity thing. You can still achieve amazing things, whatever age you are, whatever your circumstances. It's just about being focused.
Yeah.
And getting it done.
Yeah, I agree. That's amazing. Thank you so much for this.
Right, thank you.
That's a pleasure. We'll be sharing it far and wide. We're even on TikTok, unbelievably.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Don't.
That's good. I'm just brave. I'm not on TikTok.
I have a 15-year-old daughter who goes, Mum, that video was rubbish. You need to do it like this.
I like that. At least you get the feedback loop. I
do. Right. I wish you all the success in the world, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. And I'll point people in your direction, definitely.
Thank you.
Wonderful. If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks. Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at TriCrest we've built a kick-ass culture coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9-to-5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there.
The Entrepreneurial Journey Podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's